I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So final feedback, that's positive. What am I waiting on?
This was, before we call the meeting to order, I just want to confirm that the date was updated on.
Online is updated on, yeah.
All right, we're gonna call this meeting to order. We'll start with roll. Miriam, I'm here. Mark,
Here,
Judy, here. Mr. Ham,
here,
Daniel, absent. Christine, possibly absent. Dr. Reyes, absent. Ms. Miller, here. Sophia and Langston, here. Okay, any public comments?
no public seats.
Okay. And Christine is not gonna be able to join.
No, I think they were just saying.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
Board member comments or correspondence? Mr. Ham?
I'd like to ask the board if they would make a real effort to visit the classrooms of the school. There's no way you can know exactly what's going on until you're in those classrooms. And not visit a classroom of a teacher your child has had, not visit a classroom that your child is in now. Visit the classroom of a teacher that your child has never had. And you can get a great picture of what's really going on in the school. And the board should be the ones who know more about what's going on in this school than anyone else. So I think board members need to make a special effort to do that. And you can schedule it through Devin, can they?
Yeah.
So the teachers know, when you're coming in, and they can tell you when they have a class and their schedule and all. But I think it's very important that you do that.
So we should talk to Devin about when to try to come?
You just give me a time, that
Just
way I
tell
can
me
let
there
them
a-
know.
Yeah, tell
Is
him
there a
when you'd like to
particular-
come and he can say.
Yeah, I would tell you that there may be times that it might not be the best to come,
Yeah.
because so if you give me a date and I'm like, oh, this one's not great because I'll give you a reason, but in general, you can come anytime you want. It'll just be
And you
set
don't
up.
have to stay all day.
For
you
sure.
know.
Right. How are
Observe one
Thursdays?
Class is,
Thursdays are good days.
How are Thursdays?
Thursdays are good days and we have, middle school grade level meetings those days, so you can
What-
stop in and kind of see what that looks like too.
What times are good Thursdays?
what class do you wanna go to?
Yeah, that's a good question.
They all have different
Yeah.
schedules.
I was like, the morning is always good for middle school, because that's when we're teaching all of the academic content. I know elementary teaches, is it math in the morning or ELA in the morning?
It's sort of a mix because we try to have it
Class,
staggered
okay.
through the whole
Yeah.
day.
What kind of times is it?
That's what I mean. So we stagger the reading blocks and the math blocks throughout the day, so that way our aides can go in and be present in all the grade levels. So that's the only way we can do it, because if we schedule them all at the same time, they wouldn't be able to be everywhere.
Okay, so regularly 9, 10, 11.
What time did you guys come in for your observations with, Miss Pham?
That's probably around 8:30. She was here early that morning.
Yeah, we started at 9.
Yeah.
9, okay, yeah, so I would say majority of the teachers are teaching at 9, except there's always gonna be 2 teachers on planning period, so.
Okay,
You came at
And
9.
it depends on what day it is, because we had a problem like 4th and 5th. They had PE and music at that, and they weren't back in class until
Sure.
after.
Right, so that's when they're in the planning period.
That's on their
Yeah.
prep.
I'm always just down here on Thursdays for Rotary, so I can
Hit me up, Mark.
double up. Okay,
So my schedule, is flexible, but I mean, do we need to give you advance notice, or if we just show up, you can find a classroom that we could visit?
I mean, if you just show up, I can figure it out, but it's always nice to have like 24 hours. So like the teachers know, like
Yeah,
they've got a heads up, like.
Yeah.
But with parents, I always say like, you can come in, we just need 24 hours advance, and like with parents, it's like an hour to be here, but you guys can be here as long as you want.
I just told Bob, whenever an adult walks in my classroom, I always think I'm in trouble.
That's why we want to let them know.
It's always better to get a little heads up.
They need to know.
so better to walk in with a real frown.
Yeah. My heart rate goes up, oh my God.
I'm not gonna say this teacher's name, but there's a teacher in this building that every time I walk in, she goes, what did I do? And I'm like, nothing, I just need to talk to you for a second.
So I think that's a great idea. I appreciate that suggestion. I will make an effort on my part to do it. I just have to tell you, it probably won't be a 24-hour notice, more like a couple hour notice, only because of meetings and work and things like that, since it's during the day. But I'll do my best to provide through notice.
Good
But I
comment, Barb.
agree, I think that that's a great idea.
Perfect, thank you.
Another thing I want to say is you all were at the exhibitions this afternoon. I was so impressed with how they have progressed from the first time to now. Especially in the lower grades, it was unbelievable how well they had put their PDLs together, and the presentations that were made were outstanding. I was very impressed with it.
I would agree. I walked around to the different classrooms and they all did a great job. I personally was a little bit disappointed with the lack of show up from the parents, but I think that's because, and I went back and looked at emails and stuff, it wasn't really pushed out the way I feel that it should have been. The only places I saw it were on social media, which not everybody has that, and then on your important dates in your newsletter. But there wasn't like a special email letting parents know, and I've heard from a couple parents like that they weren't aware that it was today.
Well, I know also
I
that
thought it went out several times.
it did, but I also know that parents like in the class, or I'm sorry, not parents, teachers in the classrooms are sending them out newsletters too. So like those things are being made. That's kind of like the plan that's.
Yeah, well, I think, I don't know, this year, maybe it didn't go out, because in the past years, I feel it has gone out, and I think the attendance showed that, but I know this year, for instance, there wasn't the schedule, like in past years, there's a schedule of, third grade will be doing it 3 times, and second grade will be doing it twice, so if you have a child in each classroom, you can schedule, like, I'm gonna go to one at 2
Sure.
and one at 2:30, and so I know, at least for me, it was difficult because I didn't know what the schedule was for each child. And, the children don't know exactly what the schedule is either, to balance 2 classrooms. So I'm saying this year, just that, for whatever reason. I think this week actually was busier than usual
This week's a
because
lot
of the
busier than
change in the
usual.
calendar. And I think that's where, because also the notice didn't really go out for the, Spirit Week either, and a lot of parents were caught off guard with that.
So on the Spirit Week, that one was a late development. It wasn't something that was
Oh.
planned ahead of time. The teachers came to me sometime last week.
Like Wednesday.
And like Tuesday or Wednesday, say, can we do this? And I was like, sure. And then we pushed it as much as we could
So
at that
this was
point.
teachers, not foundation.
It was
then?
teachers,
Oh,
it was
okay.
not
I
us.
thought it
The
was
teachers decided to do a staff one, and then we said, well, we could bring this to the whole
Oh, that's
school.
nice.
Yeah, I can make a schedule for Q3 and Q4, just so I can ask
Mhm.
the different K-8 teachers if it's the whole hour, come drop in, or if there are different segments, so I can make a schedule that we can send out before
Yeah,
And-
'cause
Q3, that's easy.
And just an additional side note to that, at our last exhibition, we had 72 people came. This one we had 88. So I just checked the numbers, cause we had them check in downstairs again. So I literally just pulled it up.
Okay.
So
89, my wife couldn't figure out how to.
89.
And I think it was the first quarter, what Judy was saying, that we did present, like, each grade was gonna be doing this, like, there was a rundown this first quarter of what each grade was doing. I remember that you did give that presentation. I think that would be,
Yeah, that
I think
sounds-
helpful. We missed that this quarter, but I think, like pushing it out to get more involvement would be good.
Yeah.
And
That's enough.
thank you. Anybody else? No? We'll move on to student reports, Sophia and Langston.
Well, I feel like we start with this every time, but is there any update on the rock slide situation?
Yes, actually there is. So thanks for asking. They are coming here to work on December 30th. on it, because I have to have Fernando open it up, and so I'm not 100% sure when they told me they were gonna come work on it, they made it sound like they're clearing it out, but I'm not 1,000% sure. I wanted to check back in because I just got the information, I believe, yesterday that they were coming, or today's Tuesday. Yeah, I found out yesterday, so I do have some more questions, but it sounds like over break, they're gonna try to work on it and get it worked out, so that is a new update, so I appreciate you asking.
So we had some students ask for, once again, for dress on half days. Is that a possibility at all?
I mean, everything's a possibility, but I think like, from the standpoint of like what I feel like the school community is for is like, we're not having every Friday, because then that would defeat the purpose of the special 3 days. So it's more likely gonna stick to kind of like the end of quarter and maybe additional days here and there that feel special.
Alright, and something that I can say has been asked for throughout all grade levels is just more school events. I feel like we just had movie night, and that's always a success. And I just feel like more of those type of events can be great fundraisers for the school and also help keep up like student morale. So, yeah.
Any ideas on what kind of events?
Maybe like more movie nights. I know I think we only had one planned this year, but I know we did the two.
I think we have two planned this year, and that's the first time there's been two planned.
Two planned this year. Just like we only have the middle school dance, maybe like bigger dances, that kind of thing. I know, when we brought this up, I think it was our first meeting, Miss Bridget said they used to have more dances and stuff, so maybe bring some of those back, that kind of thing. I just think they could be good fundraisers.
Well, keep your ear to the ground, and people may have some ideas about what they'd like to be doing.
And also if you want to like, say we want to put together another dance, you know, I think that's something we can take initiative on and do.
There's like daughter dances or the like,
I
type of
remember
things,
when
yeah.
we first came, we had one, and we missed it, and I thought that was such a nice thing, like such a nice memory for the kids to have.
so comfortable when I was a kid.
Oh, thanks, anything else? Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, financial report, Janina.
Hello and good evening, everyone. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here. All right, can everyone see my screen okay? Okay, so this evening I am presenting the monthly financial board report for Old Town as of November 2024. So this report is compared against our last board approved budget, which took place at first interim, and that was approved on December 9th, 2024. So this was based on an enrollment count of 197 students and a budgeted ADA of 185. That budget has a net deficit for the year of $847,000. So just as a side note, the budget will be positively and negatively impacted based on the school's final ADA number, and we won't have that amount until mid to late April of 2025. And so one ADA costs the school about $15,000 positively or favorably, depending on how much over you are on ADA or how much under you are in ADA. So the year, oh yes.
Good question. What deficit was projected?
230 some, I think.
I thought it was higher than that.
So for the first interim report that I brought to the board at the last board meeting for the entire year, we are looking at a deficit of $847,000.
Right, that's current, but what was projected when we made the budget at the beginning of the year?
Oh, at the beginning of the year. So the adopted budget. Yes, that was $204,000.
Okay.
Okay, so the year-to-date revenues through November 30th, 2024 are $697,000, which is 0.5% over what we currently have budgeted for this period of time. And that's mainly due to your LCFF funds coming in a bit sooner than budgeted. So even though this is favorable for revenues, one thing that I do want to point out is that during the month of November for the budget, we did have foundations and grants to be receiving $32,500 at the end of November, and this has not yet occurred. So that favorable LCFF is kind of offsetting what should have been what should have been received in foundations and grants in the budget. So as a side note, we do have $570,000 in budgeted revenue that's based around restricted funds. And so the school must find expenses to meet the compliance requirements in order to earn those dollars associated. The year-to-date expenses.
Sorry, Katie,
Oh, yes.
With the restricted funds, are those government funds or those foundation funds?
Those are funds that come from the CDE, so government funds, state and federal. Yep. Okay, so the year-to-date expenses through November 30th, 2024 are $1,451,487, which is 3% over our current budget for this period of time. And this is mainly due to operational expenses coming in over budget for the month of November. So those are professional consulting services and operating expenditures currently at the end of November being over budget by $6,862, but there is a remaining balance left to spend in that bucket for the duration of the year of $19,387. And then for educational consultants, it is over budget at the end of November by $21,694, but there is still a remaining balance left to spend in the bucket of $124,135 till the end of the year. So if the expenses do continue to be over budget and don't level out as the year progresses, then the budget will be negatively impacted even more than the current deficit that we are projecting. So therefore, the net income as of November is
I actually have a question with the over budget expenses. Do we know why or what is causing us to be over budget on those two expenses at this point?
So yes, in the month of November, I was able to look into this, and for the professional consulting services, we had a $10,000 invoice that went towards Agreement 3 for Diana Pham. And then we also had, and these are more the big ticket ones, that are the outliers. So we also had specialized therapy for educational consultants in the amount of $25,394.
Isn't the core knowledge consulting out of?
It's out of a grant. The other one that she just mentioned is special education services.
Okay. And what is our thought and or plan to have that balance out over the course of the year?
So Janine and I have been working on a plan to present to you guys over like what we talked about last meeting, but currently we're just kind of working through those numbers and I'm trying to come to you guys with multiple plans so you can see different plans, and so I'm kind of piecing that together right now. So to say I necessarily have a plan as we sit right here, I would not be an accurate statement, but it's in development. Janina ran a bunch of numbers for me, sent me a bunch of stuff, and now I'm trying to puzzle piece that stuff together.
Okay.
All right. Are there any additional questions before I move forward from the summary page?
Go for it.
Okay, so therefore, at the end of November, we have the net deficit of $650,789. So moving on here, you'll see that we have the financial snapshot. Everything at this point in time is pretty much in alignment, as you can see, and that is because we did just approve that first interim budget. So we don't have too many staggering months as of yet, because the first interim budget was just the actuals from July to October. So we only have November now. So as you'll see here on the actual to budget summary, we have the total budget column, which is in the middle. The total budget column is the budget that the board approved at the last board meeting. And so you'll see here the net deficit of that $847,686. And then to the far left, you'll see the actuals. These are going to be the actual expenditures from July to November. And then you'll see budget. So these are the budgeted amounts from July to November. And then the variance column. So as you can see, as I mentioned on that summary page, the LCFF revenue came in favorably in the amount of $49,000. However, in the local revenue, you'll see unfavorable $33,000. So total revenue is currently flagging as favorable. But that's to keep in mind that the foundation and grants revenue that we had budgeted for November has not yet been received. And then moving on down to total expenses, you'll see total operational expenses unfavorable in the amount of $27,876. And that is mainly coming from the services and other operating expenditures, as I mentioned on the summary page. Okay. All right, so now here we are looking at the cash balance over time. So we are projecting a positive cash flow for the duration of this fiscal year, as you can see on the graph. But as you can see, that cash is dwindling down because, as we know, and as I presented, the net deficit for this year. We have cash, but expenses are too high this year. So we are spending down that cash that is in that the school currently does have.
Janina, I'm a little confused. The chart page that shows the two standing bars, they're both less than 1% off in actual versus budget. But if we're $800,000 over.
Yes, so that was what I was referencing in the fact that this budget this presentation that I'm bringing to the board, there's a few times throughout the year that this budget gets realigned. It's first interim and second interim. So everything that I am presenting right now, we create a new baseline when we do first interim and second interim. So that's why everything is flatlined right now, because as of the last board meeting, we just approved a brand new budget.
Got it. Okay.
Okay.
Understood.
Okay. It is a bit confusing, so thank you for asking. Okay, so now here we're looking at the balance sheet. So this is the balance sheet as of November, and you will see that we have total assets in the amount of $1,549,897. And then we have total liabilities in the amount of $970,294, which brings us to our total net assets of $579,603. And then here we have the restricted funds allocation. So one of the board members, you had asked me about the restricted funds. These here are the restricted funds. I apologize. I feel like my computer just kind of wonked out on me.
Okay.
Oh,
We
they
have
never
a
do
sheet,
that.
but we do have the printout, so we can follow.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm not sure what happened, but I'm going to try and share my screen. Oh
Computers never do that. Oh, come on.
no, I'm not sure what's happening. It's being a little wonky. Well, and I'm pretty much towards the end of my presentation. So if you just want to follow along in your packets. So the restricted funds, you will see that there is the federal and state funds that I was mentioning previously, that Old Town has about $570,000 budgeted. So we want to make sure that we are spending down these dollars so that the school can indeed earn those funds.
Do we feel we're on track for that? I mean, these look like things that we spend on. So,
Yeah,
this- Oh, sorry, go ahead, Devin.
Yeah, as far as that goes, like, we tag things to it throughout the year, but then really what happens is at the end of the year, I go back with Janina and we go through and re-tag things that maybe have not been tagged to it that should have been. And so that's why that last meeting, all of a sudden, you guys have been told what the budget looks like, and all of a sudden it's drastically different because we pulled all those restricted funds and aligned things better.
Yeah, because there's very little drawn down, it looks like to me.
Right.
Okay.
All right, so then on the last couple of pages, you're just gonna see the CSMC Charter School Support Team and everybody that helps with the account. And then lastly, we have the looking ahead. And so the looking ahead are just some compliance items that I work on with Devin for Old Town. And so that pretty much concludes my presentation for the November financials. One thing that I did see on the agenda, though, was the first interim budget for this evening, but that I did present already at the last meeting. So I think that might have just been a typo.
The minutes didn't get distributed?
So we didn't get the minutes until yesterday morning. And
No.
No what?
No,
Yeah, we have it on there.
I sent it last week.
The December 4th minutes?
Yeah.
To my knowledge, we got them yesterday morning from Kathleen.
I think on Friday I sent it. To
I think
Kathleen
she
and-
printed the minutes. I think they're in here,
Yeah,
but I don't know that it was on the agenda.
Well,
I was a little slow in getting them out again, but I'm pretty sure I sent it.
do we still have Janina?
Yeah, she still.
Oh, yeah.
So because we have the check registers finally?
Janine, do we normally do the check registers with you?
Yeah, let me go ahead and pull it up. I'm hoping that my computer will.
We
Okay.
had into at some point, but then we thought in one meeting, we decided that since Janina could be a resource in some of the questions that
Okay.
we might have.
All right. that
When
sounds
people
good.
have questions, she could be an additional resource. To team with Devin and Melody. Now, do we have, it seemed like there was a couple months where we didn't have these. Was it just November and December? Did we pass October?
I think we passed
So
October.
I have
We didn't-
November here this evening. And then
Mark,
last
I-
meeting would have been October, where I did the first interim budget. So the October financials are wrapped up in there, that I may not have pulled the register for that meeting. But I'm more
Okay.
than
But
happy
you included
to,
them- Okay.
oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, nothing.
I'm more than happy to pull that this evening, or for the future meeting, whatever is preferable. So right now, can you see my screen okay, by the way, for the check register? Great. So this one here is for November. I'm gonna go ahead and scroll on down.
Janina, it seems like we have more and more payroll stuff on our check registers. Why is that?
Then in the past,
Yeah, so when we asked Josh, he had said that it was Devin, 2 or 3 people getting actual checks. That's why they were on here, but
Yep.
now, I mean, we're seeing a bunch of them.
Looks like might have been a mistake, because there's negatives and positives that are the exact same amount.
So let me check with payroll on that and see what transpired there. And then as it pertains to live checks, anyone that is not enrolled in direct deposit, I'll go ahead and get just a list of names and email that over to Devin. And then that way he can share it with the board to see if that's more than what was in the past.
Yeah, we did it
Does that
last
work?
year and it matched the people, but we can do it again and go through again, especially if there's more showing up.
But last year it was, you said 2 or 3 people max, right, that were getting an actual check. That's what Josh had said.
I think it turned out to be 6 or 7.
Okay, but now there's
I mean, we're at like
10
15.
plus.
Yeah, I'm not arguing that. I'm saying I think it was like 6 or 7 last year.
Janina, what does it mean when you got a negative 38,421 and then a positive 38,421 on the same day?
Is this, are you looking at December?
I'm looking at November
Okay, I don't see that.
payroll.
Right here.
Yeah,
So I'm gonna check with payroll on that and see what happened, because truly at the end, in an accounting world, that zeroes out. So it may
Right.
have been something that, you know, they had processed and then it's a canceled check. So that's why I want to verify and check with the payroll department to see what transpired there.
yeah, it looks like maybe they issued it by mistake and then put it back.
Because these are big numbers that are coming out of payroll.
Oh, yeah.
Like $39,000 in October for one payroll check.
These are not just single payroll checks. Some of these are, it's everyone, it's multiple payrolls wrapped in, because you have, you know, your semi-monthly payroll. So it's going to be multiple individuals, unless that person is not receiving a direct deposit and they're getting like a live check like this, then it would be outside of that rolled up amount.
It seems like it's over 100,000 in just payroll
Yeah.
for October. That to me, that seems odd.
Yeah, I mean, unless, you know, the majority of employees all have switched to paper checks, which is, you know.
Well, but all of those entries on the 30th were reversed out.
We're looking at the October one.
Oh, October.
She's saying.
Yeah. So
I
you
can
look
go
at
ahead and pull October really quick,
ones. So
since
we
I,
haven't reviewed or approved October. We're behind.
Yeah.
So October, there's no negative, like there's no balance of these.
Yeah, you're right.
And it just seems like a really high amount to be payroll, especially since in the past, we've only had, what he's saying is 6 people,
Yeah, I think it was 6 or 7 last year.
which should in total.
But there's no
It's not.
check number there, so it's likely that's an accumulation of more than one check.
That's what she's saying.
Yeah.
It's a lump.
Right, that would make sense.
But even a lump of over 100,000 in 1 month for payroll,
But again, also, we just need to figure out why, if these monies aren't coming out of checks, why are they on the check register? Things are appearing in different places,
Mhm.
different ways. I mean, that could even be impacting.
Yeah, those
the
would need to be
budget.
broken out. We would need those broken out.
But also maybe they don't belong on this sheet because you say there's no check number. I mean, it just seems strange that.
What is the total monthly payroll? Do we know? You know what?
It looks like.
Let me-
Total monthly payroll. I mean, this is.
Yeah, I don't have any idea.
so when looking at, I mean, if we just look at the check register, I can go ahead and pull up my budget, and bear with me. So if we're just looking at the check register in payroll, have about 136,000. But that's including, you have to be mindful, that's including all staff that's getting paid semi-monthly twice throughout the month.
Right,
So are we saying, because in the past, historically, payroll wasn't showing up on check register and it's sort of it's dripping into the check register. So this maybe isn't a problem, it's just a change in procedure, but we just do need to know
Mhm.
what, you know, what and why is happening. And then that way we can,
it's not miscoded somehow.
yeah, that way we just know if now that this, you know, it's felt that this should appear here, then good, but.
So I want to say that that figure of about 140 to 150,000 is standard for payroll per month.
Okay.
But
Okay,
is it standard for it to be on the check register? Because in the past, we didn't have it on the check register.
if it's a check,
That I
Right.
can, I
Yeah.
can verify and look at, because we did used to have Charter Vision, which was a different accounting system that we were pulling reports from.
Okay.
So
Right.
I can go ahead and look and see what was being pulled on Charter Vision in the past and see if payroll was included on there or if it was not.
But as you point out, Art, that many of these don't have check numbers,
yeah,
so.
yeah, something's not.
But that is gonna be standard because because in accounting, we can't account for every single line item because we'd be looking at a document that's over, 50 pages long. We at some point have to roll those numbers up into one figure. So when you're looking at $38,000, that's not one payroll. That's one payroll for multiple employees.
So we write 300 or 400 checks a month? Is that what I'm hearing?
So there are some live checks, but most payroll is paid through direct deposit.
Right, so it wouldn't be on here.
It is on there.
So this is including direct deposit.
The 38,000 is direct deposit. If you look at the numbers
Okay.
under document number, those that have a document number are going to be items that are checks.
Right,
Okay.
okay.
And that is. I think-
So there's no sense in us
There's a disconnect right there.
even
Okay,
seeing the
yeah.
payroll number because we don't have anything, we don't even know what it is.
Yeah.
Right,
Well, and it didn't used to appear on.
Yeah.
here, that's
You
why-
wanted
Yeah.
a breakdown of the $38,000. Because what my accounting team does is they look at a payroll report and they look at a payroll summary report, which computes everyone's amount, right, in a rolled up form, and they make one journal entry. If you
And they
want to
don't-
see the
Right.
report that has all of that broken out per payroll for employee, I'm more than happy to supply that to you. The summary page is going to equal out to that $38,421.
So Janine, I think the thing is that before direct deposits were not showing up on the check register because they weren't checks, but now you're saying that they are.
Mhm.
So
There's
that's
only
where-
a
no, they're not checks. They're doing one accumulation and doing a direct deposit. and
There's
the direct
multiple
deposit
things happening.
divided-
Right, but the
We
direct
understand
deposit
that,
shouldn't be on the check register for us to approve. Because they weren't checks cut.
Correct,
Mhm.
So that,
Correct.
Janina, that's where our confusion's
I
coming in.
see.
Why now are direct deposits being shown on the check register, whereas before they weren't?
Understood,
Before
understood.
was that some people wanted a physical check and those would be on here.
Right,
So maybe the message got watered down somehow.
yeah.
And that
So
could be just the transition, like I mentioned, from Charter Vision now to
Right.
Intact. And I will most definitely make that, do some digging there to see if that's what transpired. Because
Got it.
yes, these items here, as you can see, these ones are live checks. Everything else that doesn't have a check number is going to be something that is a direct deposit. But I'm more than happy to look at, Charter Vision, like I mentioned, and see if that was.
So we can
included on
approve
there.
the checks.
Yeah, but those aren't checks,
Right, so we're approving the checks only.
right?
Most
Okay.
of the document
Yes,
numbers.
yeah. And I was not asking for a summary or breakdown.
Yeah, we don't want that.
Yeah.
We don't want
I
that.
don't know, but yeah.
Yeah.
I just was wanting to make sure that people aren't getting direct deposit and there's 100,000 additional checks going to who knows where.
No, that's a different deal, yeah.
So Janina, you'll confirm with us at the next meeting what the payroll stuff actually is and
Or just
confirm?
get it off of there.
Yeah. or
So
get the-
I don't know if I'll be able to remove it because that's, it's kind of just across the board what we do for all of our.
That's fine, as long as we know what it is.
Right.
So that we don't have to question it.
Absolutely,
And
absolutely.
Janina, just to confirm, all checks that the school writes, every single one, big or small, are on these check registers?
Every single check that was written for the month. So since we're looking at November, this would be every check that was written,
Yeah.
when it pertains to
Right.
accounts payable.
And then what about, credit card usage?
So no, unless there's a check that was sent to pay the credit card. You know what I'm saying? Like, most of that's gonna be a wire. So unless for some odd reason that you used a check to do that.
I don't remember that we ever looked at,
No,
merchant card.
no.
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense. So we can approve the check,
Right,
Mm.
very specifically.
yeah.
And Janina, if we just wanted to know to reference like towards the budget, do you have the credit card statements for the school for like a total amount spent each month?
So that going, oh, sorry, go ahead, Devin.
But,
No, Mark?
Janine, I was just gonna say, that just goes into the expense category, right?
So that's a little tricky because the thing is that, okay. What it is my accounting team works with the office manager, Melody. And what it is that everything that is been charged by a credit card by that month, we ask for an allocation. So Melody has to provide us with receipts with what that item is, where it was coded in the budget, because we've got multiple line items. So if anything, I think providing that to the board is going to be the most useful thing so that you would be able to see what it is that we're getting as supplying documentation as what we're entering into the accounting system. Because I don't have a report that I'm able to just pull credit cards, expenses. We're more so looking at a budget in its entirety. So the most useful thing that I could say is the credit card allocation that is sent monthly to my team from the office at Old Town.
Okay, and then these are the funds, as Devin was saying earlier, that sometimes at the end of the year, maybe are reallocated towards, say, like the restricted funds or what have you. But at real time, we also do our initial allocation. That makes sense.
Correct.
Okay. Do you guys have any questions for Janina on October, November checks besides the payroll?
I'm sorry, is there a question?
No. No, not for me.
Okay, perfect. So Janina, next week you'll let us know you'll confirm the payroll situation.
Yes, I'm definitely going to be confirming, as I mentioned, the items that were in Charter Vision, if there were payroll checks on there previously. And then I'm also going to be taking a deep dive on the items specifically on November where we saw some ins and outs there, confirming with payroll what specifically that was. Was there anything else? Did I miss anything for other concerns? Just want to make sure I got everything.
Yeah, I think that's good.
Okay, great. All right, well, if there's no other questions or concerns, that concludes my presentation for this evening. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks, Janina.
Yeah.
Bye.
Right?
So technically, according to my own rules, yeah, you did get it yesterday morning. I sent it Friday at 5, so.
Well, the one I got from Kathleen came in, was from yesterday morning. You also sent the draft, like, I want to say 12 days ago, but it had things that you were still waiting to get fixed, so that I
Yeah.
couldn't take that one yet, so.
Yeah.
And we
Okay.
sent out the board docs at 4, so.
Yeah.
That's probably where we missed each other on that one.
Yeah, okay. All right, well, we'll have to postpone approval then.
But at least it's done, right?
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
You know what I mean?
I was just a
It's
little
not a
slow.
delay, you know,
Yeah.
so we have for next meeting, so that's great.
Yeah.
Excellent.
All right, perfect. Audit report, David?
Yeah, it appears like we're gonna skip that, cause was confident he was gonna be here. He let us know he was gonna bring audit reports. I'm a little worried, to be honest, that he is not here, so. I'm not sure
No
why.
contact?
I have not heard from him. Melody has not heard from him.
Maybe he didn't know that, maybe he thought it was the normal time.
Well, maybe he looked at the agenda and thought it was tomorrow.
Well, I hope not.
Yeah. So,
Okay, so we'll push him hopefully to next month.
I mean, the good news is the opinion is we're okay.
Yeah, and the audit stuff's already in. He just presented it to you, so you know where it's at.
Okay, perfect.
Which good news is we're good as far as that goes, but he'll report
Yeah.
that next month.
excellent.
Okay.
Okay, next, teacher report, Ms. Miller.
Hi, everybody. I know it hasn't been too long since our last board meeting, so there's not too much to update. Since our last meeting, Bob and Ms. Pham came to observe our classrooms to seek out core knowledge objectives for the school year. Bob said the observations went really well, and they will be back in January, to do more observations and then meet with each of the teachers to discuss, what we need to do to help improve our core knowledge, just visuals in our classrooms and then the activities as well. We had a great staff lunch put on by the sixth grade parents, at the start of our month, so that was wonderful. We thought movie night was a really big success. A lot of the teachers showed up and it was their first time coming to movie night, so we really enjoyed that. And then today's exhibition day for quarter two. I thought it had a good community turnout. I actually didn't have a PBL this quarter, so I was able to go around to each of the classrooms today, just like Bob did, and see every single one of the PBL projects. And I thought it was really cool just to see, like, just the high academics that I saw in second grade. They made it each one of them had a QR code to a song that they wrote about the seed cycle. I listened to a bunch of the different songs.
They were super cute, right?
It was so cool, yeah.
great.
Just the technology that is being used in like a second grade classroom, I wouldn't have thought that type of stuff is happening in a second grade room. And then I even told Devin, I love the third grade one with the statues and them becoming the different characters. So, I thought just being able to see all the PBL projects, it was really cool. We are also looking forward to the winter program that's gonna be tomorrow. So the winter program, is at 6 p.m. at the Immaculate Conception. And then, Friday's classroom holiday parties. The teachers say thank you for your continued support, and we look forward to working with you guys come to the new year.
Yeah.
I want to ask, Devin, I think it would be really good for all the teachers to be able to go around to see all of the, is there any way we could make that happen?
Well, we could stagger exhibition where we could maybe,
Like someone come in and relieve a teacher in her class so she could go, or?
well, that one would be hard just because there's so much specificity to the projects that the teachers.
It would
are
depend
part
on
of.
the project.
Yeah, like some of them, yeah, they could walk away from. The other ones, they need to be there and be a part of it.
Yeah.
So that was a tough question. But I mean, if we really wanted to, I think I could be wrong, but when we first did exhibition, when I got here, we did kind of stagger some start times. Because I think we had like a 2-hour event. I could be
Well,
wrong on
it
that.
could be longer.
Yeah,
I feel like it used to be longer. I thought
It
that.
was.
Well, I know when I was running them in the evening, I think we were running them for an hour and a half and we had them staggered a little bit, but
Yeah.
parents, really expressed they wanted them during school, that there would be more parent and student involvement. And I think that's very true of the student involvement.
That was
We
the problem
definitely
with
get
the
more
student
student
involvement,
involvement. So that has been beneficial in that, but I think when the student involvement ramped up, but parent involvement kind of decreased from that is my personal opinion of it. But I think having the kids do it is the most important part.
Right.
What could we, I think it was even 2 hours.
Maybe the first couple, I can't, I could look back at the stuff and find that, but.
'Cause then there would be that time maybe for teachers to be able to circulate. And also, I think it is helpful because I remember with those longer ones, as a parent, you got to see the other classrooms. And I mean, that was something that you really enjoy, especially for the younger parents, to go into those older classrooms and see, like Andrea was saying, the high level of what was going on. And that really is something, you say, wow, you know, I want my kid to be in this classroom because, you know, you're getting to see what.
This is like
what's
starting us
going on.
earlier, like at 1:30, we could do 1:30, like 2:50 or something.
Yeah, I don't know, I have to examine some of
Yeah.
that, but I mean, it is possible. The answer is yes, it is possible. I
Yeah,
don't,
but I think it'd be great for parents to be able to visit.
but I've also thought about like, just on this subject, I've also thought about actually having it where like, you know, Monday is kindergarten, first grade exhibition, and we'd get that, but the problem would be then we couldn't have them going through all the classes. The teachers would be able to go to the classes, but then the families wouldn't be able to always see it. They'd have to come each
I
night.
think it is important for the families.
Yeah, I do
to
too.
see
I do too.
The other grades.
We'll add it to the schedule that I will send out for Q3 on what is a good, everybody should stop by type classrooms.
Thank you. Any questions? Office administrators report, Melody?
Current enrollment is closed. For kindergarten, we have 24 students. First grade, we have 13. Second grade, we have 25. Third grade, we have 19. Fourth grade, we have 22. Fifth grade, we have 27. Sixth and seventh grade, we have 22. And eighth grade, we have 23 students, which totals 187, and our ADA is still 93%.
Perfect, thank you. And when does open enrollment start? For next-
January 29th.
Okay, because I've been seeing a lot of schools like on Facebook and stuff, pushing it out, like Einstein, things like that. Are we advertising for open enrollment? Or
So I had a meeting with the marketers today about this, and we're gonna launch in January, as far as like our timeline of doing that. But
But
yeah,
open enrollment opens in January, right?
the 29th of January.
Okay. Any questions for Melody?
But it seems like we're consistent on that 197 enrollment number, so that's great.
That's good.
Okay, great, thank you, Melody. Real estate.
Nothing to report on my end, yeah.
Thank you. For discussion, so I was gonna ask about the books, but I saw that in your report. Just a really quick question. Are you guys, is the school still keeping track of the walking waivers that we implemented?
Yeah, I mean, on file, yeah.
No, what we had discussed is that there was gonna be a teacher standing at the gate, checking off to see what kids are walking from, like,
Yeah,
a
so
list of who has.
Miss Robin is that person. She's usually at the gate. Today she wasn't today.
I've asked parents of walkers and my kids as well that they're not checking. Like, there's nobody at the gate, they just open the gate and go.
Not really. Mr. Watts and Miss Robin have a system that they have checked those kids off. I'm pretty sure that's what he's already to kind of emphasize.
Well, can he speak if it's part of the discussion?
Well, I mean, you're the board president.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you can call on them.
I was just gonna say that it's because it's a small number, Miss Robin does it every day, she knows them literally by who has the waiver, because she's done it every day. So
Yeah,
she knows she
at the
doesn't-
beginning, there was a check system. I
Yeah,
think
they
that's
check
why I
at
was
the beginning,
hesitant.
and it looks like she knows somebody going out the gate if they don't have a walking waiver.
I mean, she's come to me and said, this kid's over here and they're not on a walker waiver, and I've had to go talk to them.
So, but I think the thing was about keeping record of it, right? I think Chris said that we have to keep record of it for, I think it was 7 years or something.
No, that is the actual waiver. We have to keep the waiver for 7 years.
Okay, but are you keeping record of who's walking? Because the point of the walking waiver was to see who left campus and to be able to keep track of that.
Yeah, I mean, that's,
We have whoever's walking we have their waiver on file.
Right, but are you keeping track? of
we're not
who-
checking them daily, if that's what you're asking. We're not checking them off as they walk out daily.
Was that not
That's
the intention
question.
of it, or?
No, the intention was to know who was walking. And then what he's saying is at this point, Miss Robin, and this is why, Miss Robin's got to a place where she knows those kids. Like I said, she's come to me with like, hey, this kid's over here and they're not supposed to be walking. And I've walked over and talked to him. So I mean, we're still doing that check system. I think it's just a little bit more simplified because of, you know, we've gone through that process at this point. It's kind of the same with her. when she does cars. Like, she doesn't now walk up and make sure she knows, like, she knows the car, she knows the person, and it's just an easy call.
Alright, anybody else? Alright. Foundation report, go. Good evening, everyone. Mr. Kim. All right, so I put together the foundation report. Our last meeting was in December, although it says October, here on this prepared for my typo. We had about 13 people collectively between online and in person at our foundation meeting. We're kind of stagnant. We're seeing pretty much the same families showing up, so we would like to see a little bit more attendance and diversity in that meeting. We still have the same webmaster position open, and Carola is still handling that. Movie night, which has been mentioned a couple of times this evening, so I won't burn too much time on that. But we thought it was a success. We raised, our net was about $1,100 is what we brought in on that day. Gabby, who was pulling a lot of weight this last quarter as both the jog-on chair and sixth grade mom. She had a lot of events on her plate, so I thought she did a really good job pulling everything together. It was really great to see a lot more staff presence at the movie night. And I think, just as an aside, I'd like to, even though I know that it is not something that you guys have to show up for, as an expression of community and presence, I think it does mean a lot and goes a long way when there's an opportunity for the kids to be exposed to the teachers outside of their normal setting. So thank you for making an effort and time for that. Upcoming community events, the Parent Foundation, in support of the winter holiday event, will be selling concessions tomorrow. So we'll have some sweet treats and some drinks out there, and we'll be selling as a fundraising arm for the foundation. And then we still have the Stand Up for Kids donation collection, which closes on Friday, the 20th. And I did a quick poll of parents, and it looks like we still have some room to go, but we do have some classrooms that have completed all of the asks on that list. And then looking to the future into 2025, we do have our volunteer social, January 23rd. And so we'll hope to host them over at Home and Away, where we will hope to see some new faces, as well as just thank those who have already invested their time and energy into the school. Grants, we don't have any reports there. That's still an ongoing effort, but we don't have any results as of today. And then looking at classroom events and room parent updates, during our council and room parent meeting, which we had both last week, we're hearing that volunteership is low, and I've kind of heard that tone in some of the communication here. We're not seeing as many parents participating in exhibition, even though the counts are improved from before. I wonder how much of that is a two-home family that's coming in versus individuals to be a larger representation of the student population. So we're also seeing it on our end as we look to get volunteers. We're seeing much of the same families show up, which then kind of points to us as the foundation looking at ways to expand and grow community. That's why it matters to the foundation and the council, is in what ways can we best bring people back. And so we had a couple of asks. So on page 2, the council would like to ask the administration the following. 1 is to review and clean up the EdLeo database by removing old student parent contact info and creating a 24-25 current student parent contact information list to enable better usage of the text and email communications from both the school and the foundation. So while I know that as a parent population, we're probably receiving the newsletters that come in, but I'd like to use Jogathon as an example, because using the social media outlets on both Facebook and Instagram, but also using that text arm and the notification push, I think is that collective marketing effort is what I believe helped to drive the activity, enthusiasm, and participation of the families. And so to use that as a case study, I'm wondering if we were to clean up that system, could we be a little bit more effective in our global communication, not just differentiating the parent foundation from the school, but being able to announce rain delays, cancellation of meetings, free dress, pushing out the spirit week that we have going on, just anything to
again, engage parents. So I want to say, as a parent who has 4 email addresses and holds more than one position, sometimes it matters how we're being communicated to, right? Emails get very convoluted. Some people are going to respond better to text. And having been in a public school setting, I've seen that work well over there where I'm getting both text messages as well as emails. And so if we can try to reach people wherever they are, I think that that could be helpful and worth your consideration. Yeah.
Sorry, just a question and comment on that one. Feedback as a parent, I found those texts super helpful. I kind of wish there would be more of them. I think that's a good way to communicate things like exhibition, things like that. That being said, is that a foundation text thing or is that a school where they send out the text?
So I think it's a combination of both. So
Both have
Foundation has
access
access to the Edleo platform. And so I was actually the sender of those text messages that were coming out for Jogathon.
I thought
So
those were a great way, and I think that could be utilized for things like exhibition night and Spirit Week. Things like that.
Is there a way for teachers to send it out in our communication to sign up for the Edleo communications too?
yeah, and the foundation made an effort, albeit I'm not quite sure how successful. In the beginning, we created that trifold little pamphlet to give parents the cheat sheet on how to download the app and how to opt in to those things. And speaking of opting in, I'm not quite sure from the text arm what that looks like in terms of opting in, but from the app perspective, they could easily download the app and receive it. And I imagine that if they're already signed on the newsletter, if there's a phone number attached, then maybe. But again, I think our current
There are
challenge.
phone numbers attached to the newsletter. They
Yeah,
have to
I'm
go in.
sorry,
like,
that's not what I
into-
meant. I was saying if there's phone numbers in your system, in your database, right? So parent phone numbers is what I'm referring to, not necessarily in the newsletter itself. But that's really what I was hoping to accomplish, is that back end has a ton of very small quantity, like you have one, Ms. Miller, you have 14 people, just for example, and then Devin might have 43 people. So if I go in and I click Devin's, Miller's, Watts, and mine, some of you are gonna get 2 text messages, right? And then there's another population that's not getting anything at all. So the ask is really, can we take our student population parent database, import it into Edleo, and leverage those numbers for text communication? So that's ultimately the ask. Happy to talk about that offline, so I can make sure I manage my 7 minutes that I probably.
Or you can have, and I just have one more question. So that ask that she's asking, I know that's something the past foundation president was asking for, is a master list of parents, phone numbers and emails, so they can easily communicate. Has that not been?
Yeah, that's given to the foundation to start the year.
Well, we had some challenges with that, if you
Right.
recall.
Right, I do,
So, yeah,
but I mean,
I
that
don't think
is.
that we've concluded that,
Hmm.
but ultimately, what I'm asking is that I don't know that foundation should own the task of importing
not.
that information into Edley. I believe that's a school thing, so my ask is not about whether or not I have the list. My ask is, can the administration take on the task of importing the list into Edleo so that we can leverage what we're paying for, right? Like, this is already an investment, and by the check register, it's a significant investment month over month, and we're not exercising the bandwidth of that product. And I think it's a great way to, again, talk about communication and talk about community involvement. Okay, so not to beat a dead horse on that, I'm going to then also ask that line item number 3 was a request for an approval to host a community coffee event once a month. This was sort of born out of a room parent meeting that we had just last week. And in years past, so Devin, pre your principalship, I don't think that's a real word, but pre that.
It is now.
We did have coffee with the principal in the mornings. And so that used to be something that took place on campus right after Friday Flag. And in my experience, in my recollection, there was a good turnout of that. And so for whatever reasons, that's not the case and that's not the issue. What I saw value in was an opportunity for parents to restore their presence as a community on the campus, in hopes that that can then garner more volunteership, more involvement, more feel of family community, which is what we had hoped the charter platform offered. So the idea is that it wouldn't necessarily need to be you shifting your schedule as coffee with the principal, but more so as something that the foundation maybe owns as a task. We get a room, we provide the coffee, and it's just a place for 30 to 45 minutes where parents can take that conversation from the playground up to the space and just be. So that's an ask for your consideration.
And who
And
do
that
you need approval from for that?
So I imagined that that would come from administration, right? Because we're asking to be on campus during school hours for an allotted period of time that is not necessarily administration led, right? So the
I'm just not-
ask is.
I'm more than trying to figure out what space we would use during that period of time.
So someone in the room parent meeting mentioned maybe the mindfulness room or something like that. I can't visualize that room, but that was what had been suggested as a potential area for us to
Or
congregate.
what about the garage and communities outside?
So that's could very well work out. And again, we're open to location. I think it's just more of the opportunity, and then we can feel and learn and grow from there. But the idea is, can we build something on Fridays that could then become a community standout and something that is a differentiator from a traditional public school where parents meet on campus, coffee. We tried in the closing months of last year to meet off-site, and we just found that it's just a little wonky, right? People finding parking, and when we already have them here, and again, the objective is to bring back the community. Pre-COVID, parents hung out on campus, parents were involved in a lot of things. And so again, in an effort to slowly creep back into some of the things that really felt good at that time, we're asking if we can come back on campus and do something like this once a week. Or not, that
Once a
would be
month.
one, yes, once a month, sorry.
I took-
I'm overcommitting here, that's not where I'm trying to go. So that concludes my presentation today.
Thinking, just last question, when were you hoping the first one to be in January?
Oh, it could be, yeah. I think it's an ask now, and if the answer is yes, I think we would move swiftly to try to do that, especially looking into our volunteer social. I think having the coffee would be ideal to be able to invite parents to that, and then hopefully parlay that into the volunteer social.
How many do you think would come?
That's a really good question. I just shooting for the stars, I would love to see at least 20 people at that first one, right? But you know, I am offering free coffee, so we'll see what the draw is, but it's just more, we would work on a marketing campaign, we would post it on social, we would do all of the legwork, but I think the idea is since we have the captive audience already on campus, can we just migrate them for a few more minutes?
Somehow.
Yeah, because they're already here, that population is here, we're just moving them into another space. Awesome, thank you.
Is there anything that the teachers can send out to help improve, like them joining the EdLeo or just community events?
That's a good question, and I think that's definitely on the webmaster side because I don't have enough intelligence on what a link could look
Right.
like and how that could work, but I could talk with Carola about that and then see if there's something that we could do. But again, I think the most straightforward path would be to take converting the student list into an Excel spreadsheet and importing it as a brand new
Just automatically doing it.
and just push it right into EdLeo. That feels like the shortest path to getting to it versus giving the parents another action item. We just go at them. And then if they're inclined to opt out, they will, but we will have captured everyone if we approach it that way.
Well, and that's what I was gonna say, is do we wanna, especially at the beginning of the year or January, whatever, have EdLeo be an opt-out as opposed to an opt-in?
Yeah.
People don't opt into things.
Right,
but
yeah.
People may hopefully not see that it's useful before they get around to opting out.
Yes. Yeah.
Have you ever, Devin, have you ever explored the integration between Power School and EdLeo?
I don't think they communicate. Do they communicate? I don't know the answer to that.
Yeah, they do.
Oh, that'd be excellent, because everybody is on Power School due to the grades.
Yeah, they do.
That would be
There's a known integration system.
Nice.
I don't know if it costs anything, but
Yeah, I don't know.
it imports everything you'd be looking for.
That'd be great.
So it usually goes through correct me on this, but like a CVC file or CSV file, that's usually how it gets transported over.
It could be that that's the internal mechanism they use, but it's an actual add-on to.
The CSV file is what I know, because both with Christian and Connor, we've tried to work on migrating these lists, and it's come through that form.
Yeah, it's one of their listed integrations.
So if anybody can do it, Connor can. 'cause
Yeah, Connor's great.
Connor's the most competent person I've ever met.
Well, that's
So
nice.
Langston, thanks guys for your info, we appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Del, can you keep us updated on these tasks at the next meeting?
Absolutely, thank you, I'm happy to, thank you.
Sorry, I didn't mean to. But yeah, if those two connect and speak
Mm-hmm.
to make the job easier, I think that's something that should be looked into.
And since we're paying for power school, anyway, which seems,
Yeah.
seems to work well.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Del.
Thank you.
Alright, so principal report.
So I didn't really have a lot, for this month. There isn't anything that comes actionable out of my report. The first, I just wanted to share with everybody that, on Sunday, December 8th, our, middle school, VEX robotics teams competed in their first competition. They made the afternoon, which, just to understand the competition, you kind of participate in the morning, and then there's usually a cutoff at the halfway point, and those who are from the front half stay and compete for the evening, and that's where you get placed. So both our teams made the evening, which was great for our first outing. And then, probably absolutely the best news that came out of it is one of our teams was awarded the Sportsmanship Award, which clearly aligns with our core values here. And Mr. Pethers was pretty excited because, he said, like, the judges have no idea who we are as a school or what we're about. And so the fact that they picked up on these things about our kids was really big. So it was really, really cool to come away with the trophy from our first one, and the trophy that we got is a really awesome one. So wanted to share that with everybody.
You said Mr. Pethers was in charge of that?
Mr. Pethers is our robotics coach, yes.
That's, I think, a shout out to him too for like he did and how he managed those kids and, getting them to where they got to.
Yeah, 100%. He said that, when they returned on Monday, after they'd been to the competition, he didn't have to say a word. They were like busy bees doing everything, now that they know what it looks like, feels like, they were really excited to kind of get back into it. And so they have another competition coming up, I think, right at the beginning of January. So
I think these are things also that we could announce to the school so they can be a part of it,
Yeah.
show their support.
these are things that are going out in the newsletters. We're updating those things.
So, do you mean people could attend?
Yeah.
Oh,
For people to attend prior to them happening.
Yeah.
Is the next one local, or is it, the last one was in Anaheim, I think?
Yeah, I don't know where the next one is, but I think it's also like an hour and a half away, something like that. So.
I mean, I think these are things that new parents and even old parents would be happy to see that it's something different that the school provides. And it's something that we should be
promoting.
promoting.
Yeah.
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 Absolutely. So the next thing, which we've mentioned a couple times tonight, we have the winter music program tomorrow night. It starts at 6 p.m. at the Immaculate Conception. Doors open at 5:30. Kids are expected to be there at 5. So we're probably gonna let the parents in at 5 as well that are coming with the kids, because it's gonna be hard to keep them out. That's what happened last year, so I assume that's gonna happen again this year. But just wanted to put that out there as a welcome. We would love to have you guys come.
You'll have reserved seating for the board.
We will make sure that there's reserved seating for the board, sir.
Wonderful event.
You'll be in the front row.
Cause I had to stand for 2 hours last year.
Bob, I'm not sure why, because we reserved board member spots last year too.
I didn't know.
They were in the first 2 rows, so I'm not. Yes, I'm not sure on that one.
I think that's a good thing to send out on that push text. Right? The push text?
Oh, yeah, the Ed Leo, yeah. So the winter concert now, that has been advertised, I think. It wasn't for a little bit, but now it seems to be coming up.
Okay, next thing I've got on the list is just a heads up, we have on December 19th, we have our site visit. And so, Senior Unified will be here. We've coordinated with all the parents, students, teachers, board members, everybody that's supposed to be there. So I think we're in good shape there. Just wanted to kind of say that. The Savas update, on the map books, they are actually in the school. They arrived yesterday, I believe. And so, I know Fernando is working on distributing them. I believe they've been distributed. That I have not verified at this current juncture, but I believe they have already been distributed. So I know that I asked them to kind of jump on that.
And what did we get a discount or refund?
They were technically like in transit when I came into the situation. So they were already on their way. It was really easy. All I got was the shipping information at that point, and so they appeared. So there wasn't anything. I'm gonna reach out to the company now that we have them and see if there's anything we can do, but I wanted to make sure we got them first.
Yeah.
Before.
That would be good to know at the next board meeting so we can see how it would help our numbers for the budget.
Okay. And then the last thing I have is the calendars. This is not a voting item tonight. It's just an introduction. We sent these out and didn't get really any feedback back, so I wanted to kind of, if there was feedback to get, if there's one we can X off the list and say we don't need to worry about that one.
I
Have the
think,
teachers chosen one that they prefer?
No, because we haven't trimmed it down to that point yet.
so I think there was feedback and that was the email said before we move forward with the next calendar.
I know we have those questions.
We have data questions
Yep,
to
and-
ask, which is why we haven't trimmed it down.
Right, but as you and I discussed, I'm bringing these just to introduce
Yeah.
them so that we could keep the process moving
Yeah.
forward. So just to quickly go through them, they're really defined by their start dates. Let me see. Okay, they are. So the first one that I'm seeing, it's not the way on the computer, so that's what threw me, but it's the August 25th start option.
There's no parent-teacher meetings on this option, by the way.
They're not defined by dates. They're half days in the middle of the
No,
thing.
they're not on there.
What month should they be in?
October,
October?
they're not on there. Right, they should be in pink, they're not on there.
Yeah,
Are they on any of them?
They are.
yeah.
Oh, I'm not sure why they're not on that one. I apologize. We'll get them on there.
But does that impact, say, our?
They're on two of the four.
Yeah, I don't know why they're not on all of them.
That's because
Oh. So I see them on,
They show pink as a minimum day, is that?
Yeah, there should be.
Yeah, there should be three in a row.
Yeah.
Like
So I
here,
see 'em- I see 'em on
August eighth, the second.
Here.
Oh, I see. Okay.
yeah, I don't, on this first one, I don't see it, but the other three, I see them.
Okay.
So I'm assuming that first one would need to be revised. And the Labor Day start date is not on there either.
The Labor Day start, I saw it on there. Give me 1 second, I can tell you.
Oh,
what it
no,
is.
you're right,
The
it's
end
at
of
the end.
October.
So I'm assuming the 25th, August 25th would need to be revised to add those days and shift other half days and stuff.
Not sure. But yeah, then the next one is the start date of August 18th. Again, there's not really defining marks on these yet because they are rough drafts. They're just trying to get you guys engaged so we can figure out which ones we want to focus on. Then there's a Labor Day start, which was a very passionate board member on that one. And then we have, in ours doesn't match exactly, but we have the San Diego Unified. I'm defining it as their option. It just aligns with their calendar more by start dates and end dates, but we have different calendars still because of like vacations and things that we have to do.
We'll call it maybe Sandy Unified start.
Yeah, basically what it is.
And these calendars, we can move the end of quarter dates, things like that, right?
That's the feedback I'm looking for from you guys is to know that information so we can recalibrate it and.
Right, as a teacher, minimum day on that Halloween is essential.
I'm pretty confident
If one of them does not have.
Well,
that.
is it the first one? Cause
Yeah.
that is definitely something that I feel like is a have to moving forward is that on that day when we have our.
The other three have it on the correct.
Yeah. I literally went in and made sure and I don't know.
It's
what
a
happened.
Friday.
Start 25
I feel
after.
like we had that.
I feel like it was on there, right? That's so weird.
So on And I agree about the Halloween thing. In October, it's every week is a half day. Could we move that end of quarter to the 24th or,
Wait, on what option?
well, I'm looking at August 18th,
The second one has a minimum day every week because the
parent teacher conferences.
Second one? Oh, okay.
The August 18th, is that not?
The third one, I think they all do for October. It's 3 weeks, just depends on which 3 weeks.
Yeah,
The
so
first
can
one-
we move the end of the quarter date back to fall on a half day so the parents aren't getting every,
So the quarter dates are, we can adjust them, but we've definitely gotten feedback from the teachers that having shorter than 9-week quarters is a problem.
right, so that's why and I've heard that complaint too, that's why I'm saying push it back and not forward.
But then when.
But then
making
it
the
closes
other
up the
four-
other ones shorter.
Always.
So it might be a futzing with the start date.
Yeah, so it has to do more with the start date and those types of things as far as when you're organizing those.
And then my other comment, I guess, on all of them would be in January, we come back on the 6th, which is my complaint for this year too. This year we come back on the 7th, which I think is a Wednesday,
The Tuesday.
Tuesday.
Tuesday, and then we have half day that Friday. Why are we coming back on the 5th and not, or why don't we come back on the 5th and not the 6th?
That's a work day for teachers. That's a day that they come in and get prepped for the whole semester ahead of them.
You're saying why don't we come back Monday?
Yeah.
Seems like traditional anyway to come back Tuesday.
It
after
is,
the winter break.
cause that,
For that reason.
cause
yeah.
that first day is usually the
The
teacher work.
teacher
day.
work day, yeah, to get ready. I have a question just for teachers, and this might not even be a today question, but I don't know, it seems to me that the end of this quarter seems very, cramped. I mean, I'm just looking at my 8th grader schedule where they had a STEM test today that was finalized, the date of which at the end of last week. A history test tomorrow that was announced on Monday, a math test that we knew about long ago because you provided far out schedule, so quiz on Thursday. 2 ELA papers due this week. I mean, it's a lot. You know, and so I'm feeling like if it's that much for the student, I mean, it's gotta be a lot for you guys too. But I don't know if the scheduling is impacted, but also just with a lot of these dates, we didn't have them far in advance, which does normally happen at the end of the quarter, that we don't have these due dates far in advance, but this seems more so than
So-
usual.
I would guess that this is a calendar thing, from last year. The board member who helped us very, very, very much wanted the quarter to end when we went home on winter break. That was the thing. Because in the years prior, at least the calendar I came into, like the quarter didn't actually end until like mid-January. So you go to winter break and then you come back for 2 or 3 weeks and then you'd have your finals like you're talking about. And not all this other stuff was going on. So I do think that this is a calendar, like,
Okay, so is this a shorter quarter or a longer?
This one is
quarter?
9 weeks, the first quarter was 8, and then the last 2 are 10.
Okay.
So as a teacher, I prefer all of them to be 9 or.
9 and a half.
I really do like the end of the quarter being at the Christmas break, but that does mean that we have to get
there's a
through
lot of cramming at that point.
all the things at the end. I think this is just a normal thing that happens at the end of the quarter, it could be like a finals week per se.
Oh, yeah, but I mean, in a finals week in high school or college, you got like a reading day or 2. I mean, and it'd be helpful, maybe, seems like you were actually doing a lot of scheduling, maybe just teachers had that schedule. Again, if it was a finals week, students would know before
It's
2
kind of-
days.
Judy, what's a
before.
reading day? I've never heard of those. I never had those in college.
You didn't have reading week in
No,
college?
we had crammed finals for the whole last
Okay.
week. We never had any
Well,
grades.
well, how most colleges work in the United States of America, it's before exams, you have reading.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, we didn't have that. I never even heard of
As
that.
a teacher response, you don't really know how long it's going to take to teach a full lesson. So I can't really just say like, I'm gonna have this test on Thursday and
Well, you
ELA is
actually
gonna have
have
them.
that schedule right after.
But I schedule them 2 weeks out, so I can see that, but it sometimes does get pushed and those type of things.
Well, no, I
so-
know, but I'm saying, but it sometimes seems like these things show up on the schedule a day or 2 in advance. And so that's why I'm wondering if that's due to the nature of the calendar this year, because it seems more crammed in.
I know they've been planning these papers in ELA for weeks. They've been
That's
working
another one
on
that I think
those.
that those have been on the calendar.
I'm not sure about how the scheduling of other schedules work, but I only know that because I have a share wall and but yeah, I don't know how the other ones schedule.
But again, I'm needing this more to be a calendar issue than a individual teacher issue.
So when
So,
when does this become an issue for us?
When do I want us to vote for
Yeah.
it? Well, Miriam has an email out with some questions and I'm gonna get the answers back. And then in a perfect world, we would vote on this in January or what's more likely to happen is that we'll bring it in January, there'll be conversation and we'll fix some things and vote on it in
We're
February.
losing on surveys too, right? Parent surveys and.
We can.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. All right, sounds
Doesn't
good.
know what we said about.
Just my other comment on this, the green is highlighted as non-instructional days. When you look at the definition. Sorry, did I say something funny?
No, I was listening to her.
Oh. The definition of non-instructional days are days that teachers, or not teachers, staff is scheduled to work, but there's no school. So can we, and I know I'm holding on to this, but can we should relabel those.
Sure.
Great.
So
thank
2
you.
weeks in a row in November.
Well, those are the breaks.
I don't know how you want them relabeled. This is the standard way to
So
label
I
it.
guess
If
we
they-
can
if
figure
teachers
that
are
out
not
in
at
the
school,
discussion.
They want it to be blue. If teachers are at school working, they want it green.
Yeah, just so we know,
Well, blue's holidays, so we gotta come up with something different.
pick purple.
I can't
Holiday,
see that.
I would say a holiday means, no school for students and staff.
I would agree with that.
Yeah.
We can't do it that way, because holidays are actually holidays. So if you look at the calendar, they are like Christmas, they are New Year's. they are-
Right, so nobody's being taught or.
Correct, but we need to have a defining mark different than those for the calendar, because those are federal holidays, which means we can't even have employees come in, right?
Right.
There's a
Okay.
defining difference.
So we
between
need
those.
a purple or a yellow that indicates teachers and staff are also not there.
Okay.
oh wait, so you're saying that the non-instructional days are both, some of them are teachers are there, some of them teachers aren't? Oh.
Yeah, so what I do is we go through on these calendars and we define the days that the teachers work and I issue those to you in these calendars that you vote for.
Mhm.
And then that becomes what those days are.
We just need an extra color. Let's-
Yeah.
Green is both.
It's two
Right now,
things,
yeah.
yeah, and I didn't realize. So that is helpful.
Okay.
So if you guys want to take these home, make some notes or, so we can be prepared for the next meeting. And then Devin, I'm assuming you'll send out an updated one for the start of.
Yeah,
August
that
23rd.
was strange. I apologize if that wasn't.
Probably just came off when we were changing some other.
Yeah, I don't know.
So we don't have anything on to vote on?
No, these aren't votable.
No, I'm talking about what's in it.
Okay, so, well, no, we have October, November check.
Well, we could do those for the checks.
Yeah,
Okay.
for checks only.
All right.
And, the November,
Well, we'll have to we can't do a consent action. It has to be individual. We have to vote on each one. Because the consent agenda covers everything. And we
Yeah.
don't have minutes to vote on.
Okay, because the
We
minutes
don't have minutes to approve.
weren't in the thing, or we could amend the
Is that not
consent,
what
but
this
we could just vote, I mean, it's only two things, so voting individually is not.
Well, we could combine it in one motion.
is that not what this is?
Those are the minutes, but they weren't on the agenda. You can't vote for something that's not on the
Yeah,
agenda.
it's November is on
Oh,
the agenda,
November.
Yeah,
and December is, yeah.
So December is not on this.
It's hard, because since this was at the beginning of, at least in my mind, I'm thinking that this is November, but it's not. We had two December meetings,
right.
So we
so
can-
therein lies the confusion, I think.
So we can,
Yeah, like technically that was the November meeting.
okay, so we
The
can just
December
go
4th one.
to
Okay.
a consent to vote on the check registers for October.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
And you
can-
can combine them too.
All right, so I
Okay.
move we approve October, November checks in the register.
Perfect.
Second.
Okay, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed?
Well-
Any abstentions? No, okay, passed. October and November checks only. All right, then we'll hop into closed session. We just finished close. There isn't anything to report. Thank you.